Hey guys, welcome back to Geek Power Toy Reviews, and in today's video we will be taking a look at the LEGO City Arctic set 60194 Arctic Scout Truck. So the set was launched on the 1st of June 2018 and was later retired on the 31st of December 2019. The recommended retail price at the time of release was £39.99. The current value is £47.60 as of the 7th of November 2023. The set came with 322 pieces and 3 minifigures. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video and give you a close-up on the LEGO City Arctic set Arctic Scout Truck. As always, let's first take a look at the packaging. So at the top left-hand corner we see the LEGO City logo. Along the top we see the blue brickwork design, followed by the Arctic terrain, and then the LEGO minifigure that was the poster boy of the 2018 Arctic City sub-theme. Just down here on the left we see the recommended age range of 7 to 12 years old and the set number 60194. As we look further down into the main section of the front of the packaging, we see an action shot of the Arctic Scout Truck, one of the camera videographers with the video camera, and his pet husky dog with what looks to be a pair of binoculars. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, we see a motorcyclist with a digital device, possibly telling them about the new specimen that they're looking for. And when we look at the first terrain piece, we see another explorer extracting a specimen from the ice. And then just at the top, near the middle, we see what looks to be the front of the opening of a cave and what looks like a polar bear leaving the cave to see what these explorers are really doing. When we look on the back of the packaging, we see more action shots of the Arctic Scout Truck, the motorcycle that's been adapted for the Arctic terrain, and another image of the videographer using the binoculars that his pet husky dog was carrying with him. And just at the bottom here we've got another great shot of that piece of terrain showing the opening of what looks to be the polar bear's cave and the polar bear within. Down along the bottom we see a rear view of the scout truck showing the empty bed in the back and some of the accessories you can store on the outside, along with one of the minifigures holding that extraction device. And when we look at the next panel, there's another look of that same minifigure pulling that same specimen out of the ice, and the motorcyclist with his digital device holding what looks to be a dud of a find, possibly where they thought the specimen would be, but it wasn't. We'll get a closer look when we look at the set inside. And then, yes, again, another image of the videographer and his pet husky dog. Then just below that, we see the Arctic explorer climbing into the Arctic Scout Truck. And just in the bottom right hand corner, we see the motorcycle in the flatbed for storage or going for repairs, I'm not quite sure. But now that we've looked at all the packaging, let's get a closer look at the set inside and see what's really going on. So first, starting off with the minifigures, here is the motorcyclist. He looks to be wearing a dark azure motorcycle helmet, which has loads of great moulded details. And then to protect his face even further, he has a pair of white goggles to give him full coverage. When we remove the helmet, it gives us a better look at the very confident face print on the inside with what looks to be dark brown eyebrows, eyes, and then that large, almost cheesy grin. And the head is moulded in Lego's iconic yellow plastic. When we look at the back of the minifigure, we see that there's no secondary face print. As we go into the torso, we see the very common, almost half and half design of winter coat with the flame orangish yellow on one corner and then the navy blue on the other corner. A design that we've seen throughout the Arctic theme so far. The torso is moulded in a dark blue plastic. On the minifigure's right arm, it's also moulded in dark blue plastic with no sidearm printing. And then the minifigure's left arm is moulded in that flame orangish yellow, with the hands moulded in that dark azure plastic to represent the gloves. And then when we look at the torso even closer, there's more dark azure colour used for the drawstrings at the top of the coat, on the zips and on the buckle around the waist. And then when we go into the hips and the legs, they're all moulded in dark blue plastic with zero printing on the on the hip piece or on the front or side of the legs. When we look at the back of the minifigure, we see a continuation of that half and half design for the coat with the hood and top section in that flame orangish yellow, the bottom section and the continuation of the belt done in the navy blue colour. Then the back of the hip piece and the back of the legs are also unprinted. Now when it comes to accessories for the minifigure, he has quite a few. So when building the set, he was given his electrical device, maybe to tell him where there might possibly be some new specimens or life forms. There's loads of great printed detail on that tile. And then the other accessory, it's almost like a jackhammer, but I guess they call it an Arctic specimen retrieval device, maybe. That's all the accessories with this minifigure. Moving on to the next one, we'll take a look at the videographer. So if you saw our review on the So-So starter pack, you'll know this one quite well. The minifigure comes in that great dual moulded hat with the light tan to show the Sherpa material, and then the red plastic shows the outer covering. When we remove the hat, we get to see the gentleman's face. He looks like he might be a little bit older due to the crow's feet. And again, we see that light tan beard, moustache, and eyebrows. And then on the back of the minifigure, there's no secondary face print. As we look at the torso and the arms, they're all moulded in that red plastic. The front of the torso has black detailing to show the drawstrings on the coat, the covering of the zip, and then the two pockets. He also has a black belt with a light grey buckle and a white electrical device. The minifigure has zero printing on the hip piece, on the front of the legs or the side of the legs, and all three parts are moulded in that black plastic. Meanwhile, the minifigure's hands are moulded in that dark azure colour to represent the minifigure's gloves. On the back of the minifigure's torso, we see a continuation of the coat design with the red hood, the black belt, and a light grey pouch for storage. And then the back of the hip piece has zero printing along with no printing on the back of the legs. The two handheld accessories for the minifigure are, with him being a videographer, his very nicely old school video camera done in black with a clear rounded stud for the lens of the camera. And then if he's a bit far away, he can use his pair of reliable binoculars to get a closer look. And of course, as previously stated in the set, it looks like the videographer has a pet dog who's this little husky right here. And just like the one I reviewed previously, if I remove the little bracket piece there, it's the exact same mold, but due to the interesting way they incorporate the dark bluish grey plastic with the white plastic, it gives you a different designed husky dog each time they make one. So regardless of how many they make, each one has their own unique coat design. So as you can see, the light bluish grey plastic is very prominent in the head and into the torso of the animal, and even a little flicker of it in the curled tail. The printed details on the husky dog are the white insides of the ear, the main white section on the face, and then the black print detailing for the eyebrows, eyes, and nose. The dog attaches to a studded area of 1x3 studs, and as you previously saw, the bracket piece that would usually go over the neck of a minifigure can be attached to the open stud on the top of the dog. The bracket piece also has its own open stud on the side, which is perfect for storing the videographer's binoculars, almost like he's got his own little backpack, which is quite entertaining. The last minifigure included with the set is another Arctic explorer. This also being the driver of the Arctic Scout truck. As you can see, she has a nice dark azure snow hat on the top with great moulded detailings showing the folds of the hat. Once removed, you get a better look at the lady's eyebrows, eyelashes, eyes, and mouth. She has a almost peach colour lipstick to accentuate the female lips. On the back of the minifigure's head, there's 0 secondary face print. As we go into the torso, it's moulded in that dark azure plastic along with the arms, and the hands are moulded in white plastic to represent her gloves. The female torso shows the winter coat that she's wearing with the flame orangish yellow colour used for the drawstrings, the side pocket zips, and the utility belt with that bright silver buckle and a pouch on either side. As we go into the legs, we see that the hip piece and the legs themselves are all moulded in that dark blue colour plastic. There's 0 printing on the hip piece, the front of the legs, or the side of the legs. As we look at the back of the minifigure, we see a continuation of the winter coat design with the black lines showing stitching and wrinkles in the clothing. And then when we look at the bottom of the torso, we see a continuation of that flame orangish yellow belt piece, the pouch on the right hand side, and another white electrical device on the left hand side. And then when we look at the back of the hip piece and the back of the legs, there's 0 printing. And luckily, the Arctic Explorer also comes with her own accessory, that being a reliable black walkie-talkie. A very classic Lego accessory piece in their city line, again with all those great little printed details that we've come to expect, including the the open studs on the other side. With all the minifigures now covered, before we go into the rest of the set, I now get to show you one of my favourite parts, which is the beautiful Lego polar bear that's been used in the 2018 theme of Arctic Explorer sets. So the basic shape is the same of that of the grizzly bears and honey bears that Lego has released before in their city line, and it's all primarily moulded in that beautiful white plastic. The only printing is the black for the eyes and the nose. It has an open section in the mouth to put any fish or any other accessory you'd like to put in the mouth of the polar bear. There's none that are exclusively included for this polar bear, but if you've got any of the little fish pieces, they'll fit in perfectly. On the top of the polar bear, we see 2 open studs. If you want to put a harness on there, if you want your minifigures to ride it, or any chains or anything like that. And of course, when it comes to Legos, their figures, they have 2 points of articulation, one at the back legs, where you can rear the polar bear up, and then a second point of articulation at the neck, so it can look forward, and it comes down nice and close to the front right paw, so it can almost look like it's washing itself. And then even when it's in the all four position, you can still articulate the head down to make it look like it's sniffing the ground or trying to get a fish out of the water. So with all the minifigures and animals, let's take a closer look at what you're really paying for, which is the excellent Arctic Scout truck. So with the truck itself, it mainly works on a half-track design. The caterpillar treads at the front roll nice and freely when attached to the large wheels on the inside. And then along the bottom, we see a sticker detail here showing one of the access panels if you're looking to refuel it or for any storage possibilities. And then at the back, we have 2 sets of wheels, nice large, almost pneumatic tyres to give good grip when on the Arctic surface. As we go up slightly, we see the dark blue inclusion of the colour scheme. Above that, the pinstripe of the dark azure colour. And then above that, the main orange colour scheme, the primary colour of the Arctic theme back in 2018 on full display. Here along this section we have the set number 60194 with some black line detailing and the white arrows pointing down. We have a little greebling with the grille detail here, and then on the large section we have another access panel, this one now including the Arctic logo. On this side of the set we have a black antenna piece which is nice and bendy to avoid any unintentional snapping. And then here we have what looks to be an air intake for cooling or heating the inside of the cabin. As we look at the front, we see all the large lights, such as the floodlighting at the top and the headlights up front. Then we have another air intake grille, possibly for the engine to keep it temperature controlled. And then we have a pair of front bars if it needs to be towed or pull anything out of a sticky situation. On the other side of the Arctic Scout truck, we have one of the 2 side mirrors so that the driver can see behind them. On this side of the Arctic Scout truck, we see the bar that the female minifigure was using in the box art to pull herself up on and into the truck. Then we see a mirrored image of the logo and the access panel, yet another sticker detail of the set number, and the opposite side of the 2 sets of wheels, the access point for the fuel, and then the other set of caterpillar treads. Now, when we get to the back of the Scout truck, that's where things start to get a little bit more interesting. So the back section with the tail lights can be hinged down, and on the inside we see the flatbed of the truck to be able to put the motorcycle inside. And then we have a couple clips here and here to attach some of the accessories, which I'll show you later. And then we have a stud on a jumper tile to either put the specimen or piece of equipment. And then when we can close that tailgate back up, and now we can take a look closer on the inside, just quickly by removing the roof of the truck nice and simply. So at the front, we see the steering wheel for the driver and the backrest. Then that little grilled area is a little spot to put the husky dog. And then here's another seat to hold a second minifigure with a computer keyboard in front of them and a computer screen showing you possibly the density of the ice and where you can expect to find little specimens. So if you wanted to sit your female minifigure, the driver of the set, just remove the accessories, put her arms up and put her into her seated position, and she'll sit quite comfortably in the studded area just here. Then when it comes to the husky dog, it's nice and simple. You even get to keep his little backpack on him. If it is a he, it may be a she, who knows. And then you can just it can be a little bit fiddly, so it's always best to leave putting the dog on the inside last. So we'll take our videographer, remove his video camera, and again put the arms in the upward position and fold the legs so he can sit inside, and he'll just sit in that little section here. It can be a little bit tricky with the beam sometimes. It's not too bad. Then you just want to lean him back a little bit. Then put his arms down and lean him forward so he's touching the controls. And now we can take the dog and fit it inside. Oh, I am not having luck with the dog today. I swear it worked perfectly in the rehearsal, but right now it just does not want to fit in. And there we have it. I finally managed to get the dog inside on that gridded area. Just so you can see, it does indeed fit. As painful as that was for me to try and do on camera and for you guys to watch it. And then when it comes to the accessories for the two minifigures, you can take the video camera, and then those little holes there are what will attach on the peg here, just like so. And then the walkie-talkie can be attached to that little clip there. and I've found it's always best to have it in the upward position if you can. And then the last accessory from the motorcyclist is the Arctic specimen retrieval device, which you can attach nicely on that little jumper stud. And then you can put the roof back on the Arctic Scout truck, and it's all set up, ready to go. The next vehicle included in the set is the motorcycle for the cyclist, and this is a really cool one because the underside, the nuts and bolts of it, I guess you'd say, the frame is a lot different to a lot of the other motorcycles that we get from Lego City. As you can see, it's done in a pearlescent silver, and what makes this one different is instead of a wheel at the front and back, you've got the skid, or whatever you want to call it, on the front, and then on the back you've got the treads, which don't have any cheater wheels or anything like that. They just sit on whatever surface you have, and then they roll freely, and they don't skip. I mean, I've had it on the table, which is nice and smooth, and none of the treads skip. And of course, on the studded surface, they work perfectly. The top of the motorcycle has the orange dirt bike fairing that you would see on a scrambler bike from Lego City, again in that grey orange colour. And then of course all you have to do is pop the minifigure's legs either side of this centre section here, lift up the hand a little bit, and you can of course attach the hands to the handlebars, but for the purposes of the video we'll keep it off for now. And then when it comes to putting the motorcycle inside the scout truck, they do recommend on the box to put it in front first. However, I found if you put the tread section in that little arch section here, and then articulate the skid piece up like so, and then close the tailgate, it keeps it nice and secure. I don't feel it rattling around. And compared to the way it shows you on the box, I have tried it and it didn't feel anywhere near as secure as the method I'm using now. And then if you want, you can always keep the minifigure on the motorcycle even in this position. Now that's everything to do with the scout truck and the motorcycle. Let's take a closer look at the 2 points of terrain that our minifigures will be interacting with. The first one that I like quite a bit is the entrance of a polar bear's cave. As you can see, it's made up of a bunch of sloped white Lego bricks and a couple light bluish grey parts like the large arch, and then the sloped sections here, and we even have little bits of that nice icy blue transparent plastic used on the cheese wedges or sloped parts in these sections here, and then that same icy blue colour used on what almost looks like a window of the polar bear's cave. And of course you can take your polar bear that comes with this set and it fits quite comfortably through the hole of the cave. And yes, you can even get him or her to look through the window as well. On the back of the facade, that's how it looks on this side when it comes to the entrance. And then here on the inside, you've got a 1x4 studded area just behind the window section. So if you wanted to use it as like a temporary shelter, you can. Although I wouldn't recommend it because I don't think the polar bear would like it quite all that much. And the last part to show you is the little icicles that were achieved with that rocky piece in white plastic. And that's about it when it comes to the polar bear cave facade. The second piece of terrain is even more interesting because it has quite a bit of playability. So starting on the ground section, we have yet another little cave. This one's a little bit deeper. However, the opening is a fair bit narrower with only 3 studs wide. But then it does kind of go around a corner here. And then this might be an even safer way of a temporary shelter if you're too far away from HQ or whatever it might be. And just like with the other terrain piece, it uses a assortment of sloped white Lego brick pieces, some light bluish grey arches and larger back panels, and then that beautiful icy blue colour of transparent plastic for these sheets of ice and sloped piece here. The other inclusion is the great transparent orange used for the cones, and the placement does work quite nicely because they each represent an area where you can extract 2 pieces of ice. So if we take the Arctic specimen retrieval device, and if we had it in the hand of a minifigure, you could use the anti-stud section here and attach it to the hollow stud there. And then when you lift it out, it brings out the rest of the ice. And once you remove the device, you can see this one, we weren't so lucky. There's no specimen included in this section, but it's nice how they've built it up with 2 white cylinder pieces, a clear stud, and then an icy blue stud. So since that one's empty or doesn't have any specimens, we can put that ice back. And then on this second section, we see more various slopes in icy blue transparent plastic. But if we look down here, we've got yet another hollow stud. And if we attach the device to the top of that one and pull it out, oh, what's that? Removing it from the device, we can now more closely see that this time we were much more lucky and we did get a specimen. So on this icy blue cylinder, we've got another one of those little Arctic dragonflies, and maybe that little blob is an egg perhaps that's been preserved in the ice. So that means that our minifigures can cut off the white ice and then these little sections here, and they can take the specimen back with them on the scout truck and take it back to HQ for further research. And then just like before, it's nice and easy. All you have to do to reset it is pop the specimen or the sample, sorry, back in that little section there. And it really is one of my favourite parts because it really makes you feel like the minifigures are discovering something, you know? And if you want, you can always take that one out, pop it in there, take that one out, pop it in there if you want to vary it in any sort of way. And then when we look at the back of the terrain build, this one's quite plain, there's not much going on. You can see the large wall sections a lot better that we use to help block things up and make it feel more solid on the main front of the set. So that's about everything included with the set. I'll now take you back and I'll give you my final thoughts on the Arctic Scout truck as a whole. And welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the close-up of the Arctic Scout truck that we took a look at today. So, to give you my overall feelings on the set, I think the fact that everything that comes with the minifigures, whether it's their accessories, the pet dog, even the motorcycle, the fact that, you know, all of it is housed quite nicely and quite securely on the truck itself. There's nothing left behind. There's nothing left laying around. I mean, I don't have it attached right now, but if we take the two cones that were included, they can easily be attached to, if we lower the tailgate, those little sections here, or if you want it to be even more secure, there's the little studs either side of that jumper plate that we put the little Arctic specimen retrieval device on. And then if we strip all that away and look at the main simple scout truck itself, the interior I think is really nice. The computer screen, the keyboards and all the other little switches and devices in that section is great. It really takes me back to the era of Lego City where they included something like that in a lot of the firefighter sets and the police sets and all that sort of stuff, you know? And then the driver section, nice and simple, just a steering wheel, which is all they really need. The sticker details, even though there's quite a few, I mean there's what, 2, 4, 6, yeah, there's only really 6 sticker details just on the scout truck alone, and throughout all the set really. I know a lot of people don't like stickers all that much, they would prefer printed details. I completely understand it. I mean, you probably saw in the video the little access section there, I didn't get it completely square, so yeah, I completely understand why people would prefer printed details over sticker details. You know, it avoids the peeling off and I've got a lot of experience in that, tell me what. But overall, it's really great. I really do like it. Even the secondary terrain build, I know it's just a facade, you know, it's only the entrance of the cave, it's not a full cave, but if the cave was any bigger or any deeper, it would mean more parts, it would make it more expensive, you know. But by no means do I think this is any less of what they could achieve, you know. Lego can only give us so much at a certain budget, so, you know, with it just being a facade, we can then decide how deep we want it to go, or how shallow, or, you know, whatever we want, really. You know, that's a great thing. Imagination is a powerful thing. And the inclusion of the polar bear, they didn't have to include it. You know, they could have just given us this terrain build with the great little playability aspect of it, with pulling out the samples and what have you. But the fact that we also get a polar bear and a part of the habitat is great, I think, you know. But that's everything from me. Please feel free to leave your comments about your thoughts of the set. If it was still available today, would I recommend it? Definitely, of course I would. You know, I've had so much fun not just building the set, but also experiencing all the different aspects, both in play and out of play. Uh, so yeah, leave your comment about what you think of the set, what you think of the video. Give us a like if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, I hope you had a geektacular time, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.